Thank you. Please be seated. You will note that Councillor Van Tilburg is absent from tonight's meeting. He sends his sincerest regrets, but I can confirm that Councillor Van Tilburg did sign the declaration of office on Saturday, December the 1st, in the presence of a commissioner for the taking of oaths and affidavits. I would now ask the Honourable Justice Gethin Edward to come forward to administer the declaration of office to the remaining 10 members of the new City Council.
Lisa, would you come forward, please? Come on up, Lisa. I break you with tradition a little bit, but my wife was with me throughout the campaign, and I'd really very much like to have her with me here as I have the oath administered to me.
I, and state your name,
Kevin Davis,
having been elected to the office of mayor
having been elected to the office of mayor
in the municipality of Brantford,
in the municipality of Brantford,
do solemnly promise and declare that
do solemnly promise and declare
I will truly,
that I will truly,
faithfully, and impartially
faithfully, and impartially
exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
I have not received
I have not received
and will not receive
and will not receive
any payment or reward
any payment or reward
or promise thereof
or promise thereof
for the exercise of this office
for the exercise of this office
in a biased,
in a biased,
corrupt,
corrupt,
or in any other improper manner.
or in any other improper manner.
I will disclose any pecuniary interest,
I will disclose any pecuniary interest,
direct or indirect,
direct or indirect,
in accordance
in accordance
with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
I will be faithful
I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
I make this solemn promise and declaration,
I make this solemn promise and declaration,
consciously believing it to be true,
consciously believing it to be true,
and knowing that it is of the same force and effect
and knowing it is of the same force and effect
as if made under oath.
as made under oath.
I,
Rick Weaver,
having been elected to the office of councillor
been elected to the office of councillor
in the municipality of Brantford,
in the municipality of Brantford,
do solemnly promise and declare
do solemnly promise and declare
I will truly,
I will truly,
faithfully, and impartially
faithfully, and impartially
exercise this office
exercise this office
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
I have not received
I have not received
and will not receive
and will not receive
any payment or reward
any payment or reward
or promise thereof
or promise thereof
for the exercise of this office
for the exercise of this office
in a biased,
in a biased,
corrupt,
corrupt,
or in any other improper manner.
or in any other improper manner.
I will disclose any pecuniary interest,
I will disclose any pecuniary interest,
direct or indirect,
direct or indirect,
in accordance
in accordance
with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
I will be faithful
I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
And I make the solemn promise and declaration,
And I make this solemn
promise
and declaration,
consciously believing it to be true,
consciously believing it to be true,
and knowing that it is of the same force and effect
and knowing that it is in the same force and effect
as if made under oath.
as if made under oath.
Councillor Otley, if you'd stand. I,
I, John Otley,
having been elected to the office
having been elected to the office
of councillor
of councillor
in the municipality of Brantford,
in the municipality of Brantford,
do solemnly promise and declare
do solemnly promise and declare
that I will truly,
that I will truly,
faithfully, and impartially
faithfully, and impartially
exercise this office
exercise this office
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
I have not received
I have not received
and will not receive
and will not receive
any payment or reward
any payment or reward
or promise thereof
or promise thereof
for the exercise of this office
for the exercise of this office
in a biased,
in a biased,
corrupt,
corrupt,
or in any other improper manner.
or in any other improper manner.
I will disclose any pecuniary interest,
I will disclose any pecuniary interest,
direct or indirect,
direct or indirect,
in accordance
in accordance
with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
I will be faithful
I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to Her Majesty to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II,
And I make the solemn promise and declaration,
and I make this solemn promise and declaration,
consciously believing it to be true,
conscientiously believing it to be true,
and knowing that it is of the same force and effect
and knowing it is of the same force and effect
as if made under oath.
as if made under oath. Thank you.
Councillor McCreary, if you'd stand. I,
I, Dan McCreary,
having been elected to the office
having been elected to the office
of councillor
of councillor
in the municipality of Brantford,
in the municipality of Brantford,
do solemnly promise and declare
do solemnly promise and declare
that I will truly,
that I will truly,
faithfully, and impartially
faithfully, and impartially
exercise this office
exercise this office
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
I have not received
I have not received
and will not receive
and will not receive
any payment or reward
any payment or reward
or promise thereof
or promise thereof
for the exercise of this office
for the exercise of this office
in a biased,
in a biased,
corrupt,
corrupt,
or in any other improper manner.
or in any other improper manner.
I will disclose any pecuniary interest,
I will disclose any pecuniary interest,
direct or indirect,
direct or indirect,
in accordance
in accordance
with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
I will be faithful
I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
And I make this solemn promise and declaration,
And I make this solemn promise and declaration,
consciously believing it to be true,
consciously believing it to be true,
and knowing that it is of the same force and effect
and knowing that it is the same force and effect
as if made under oath.
as if made under oath.
I,
Richard Carpenter,
having been elected to the office
having been elected to the office
of Councillor
of Councillor
in the Municipality of Brantford,
in the Municipality of Brantford,
do solemnly promise and declare
do solemnly promise and declare
that I will truly,
that I will truly,
faithfully, and impartially
faithfully, and impartially
exercise this office
exercise this office
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
I have not received
I have not received
and will not receive
and will not receive
any payment or reward
any payment or reward
or promise thereof
or promise thereof
for the exercise of this office
for the exercise of this office
in a biased,
in a biased,
corrupt,
corrupt,
or in any other improper manner.
or in any other improper manner.
I will disclose any pecuniary interest,
I will disclose any pecuniary interest,
direct or indirect,
direct or indirect,
in accordance
in accordance
with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
I will be faithful
I will be faithful,
and bear true allegiance
and I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
And I make this solemn promise and declaration,
And I make this solemn promise and declaration,
conscientiously believing it to be true,
conscientiously believing it to be true,
and knowing that it is of the same force and effect
and knowing it is of the same force and effect
as if made under oath.
as if made under oath.
Would you stand, Joshua? I,
I, Joshua Wolf,
having been elected
having been elected
to the office of Councillor
to the office of Councillor
in the municipality of Brantford,
in the municipality of Brantford,
do solemnly promise and declare
do solemnly promise and declare
that I will truly,
that I will truly,
faithfully, and impartially
faithfully, and impartially
exercise this office
exercise this office
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
I have not received
I have not received
and will not receive
and will not receive
any payment or reward
any payment or reward
or promise thereof
or promise thereof
for the exercise of this office
for the exercise of this office
in a biased,
in a biased,
corrupt,
corrupt,
or in any other improper manner.
or in any other improper manner.
I will disclose any pecuniary interest,
I will disclose any pecuniary interest,
direct or indirect,
direct or indirect,
in accordance
in accordance
with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
with the Municipal
Conflict.
Conflict of Interest Act.
I will be faithful
I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
And I make this solemn promise and declaration,
And I make this solemn promise and declaration,
conscientiously believing it to be true,
conscientiously believing it to be true,
and knowing that it is of the same force and effect
and knowing it is of the same force and effect
as if made under oath.
as if made under oath.
I,
I, Cheryl Antosky,
having been elected to the office
having been elected to the office
of Councillor
of Councillor
in the municipality of Brantford,
in the municipality of Brantford,
do solemnly promise and declare
do solemnly promise and declare
that I will truly,
that I will truly,
faithfully, and impartially
faithfully, and impartially
exercise this office
exercise this office
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
I have not received
I have not received
and will not receive
and will not receive
any payment or reward
any payment or reward
or promise thereof
or promise thereof
for the exercise of this office
for the exercise of this office
in a biased,
in a biased,
corrupt,
corrupt,
or in any other improper manner.
or in any other improper manner.
I will disclose any pecuniary interest,
I will disclose any pecuniary interest,
direct or indirect,
direct or indirect,
in accordance
in accordance
with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
I will be faithful
I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
And I make this solemn promise and declaration,
And I make this solemn promise and declaration,
conscientiously believing it to be true,
conscientiously believing it to be true,
and knowing that it is of the same force and effect
and knowing that it is of the same force and effect
as if made under oath.
as if made under oath.
I,
Greg Martin,
having been elected
having been elected
to the office of Councillor
to the office of Councillor
in the municipality of Brantford,
in the municipality of Brantford,
do solemnly promise and declare
do solemnly promise and declare
that I will truly,
that I will truly,
faithfully and impartially
faithfully and impartially
exercise this office
exercise this office
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
I have not received
I have not received
and will not receive
and will not receive
any payment or reward
any payment or reward
or promise thereof
or promise thereof
for the exercise of this
for
office
the exercise of this office
in a biased,
in a biased,
corrupt,
corrupt,
or in any other improper manner.
or in any other improper manner.
I will disclose any pecuniary interest,
I will disclose any pecuniary interest,
direct or indirect,
direct or indirect,
in accordance
in accordance
with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
I will be faithful
I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
I make this solemn promise and declaration,
I make this solemn promise and declaration,
conscientiously believing it to be true,
conscientiously believing it to be true,
and knowing that it is of the same force and effect
and knowing that it is of the same force and effect
as if made under oath.
as if made under oath.
I,
John Sless,
having been elected
having been elected
to the office of Councillor
to the office of Councillor
in the municipality of Brantford,
in the municipality of Brantford,
do solemnly promise and declare
do solemnly promise and declare
that I will truly,
that I will truly,
faithfully, and impartially
faithfully, and impartially
exercise this office
exercise this office
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
I have not received
I have not received
and will not receive
and will not receive
payment or reward
any payment or reward
or promise thereof
or promise thereof
for the exercise of this office
for the exercise of this office
in a biased,
in a biased,
corrupt,
corrupt,
or in any other improper manner.
or in any other improper manner.
I will disclose any pecuniary interest,
I will disclose any pecuniary interest,
direct or indirect,
direct or indirect,
in accordance
in accordance
with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
I will be faithful
I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
And I make this solemn promise and declaration
And I make this solemn promise and declaration, conscientiously believing it,
to be true,
conscientiously believing it to be true,
and knowing that it is of the same force and effect
and knowing that it is of the same force and effect
as if made under oath.
as if made under oath.
Last but not least,
Oh, thank you.
I,
Jan Vanderstelp,
Having been elected
having been elected
to the office of Councillor
to the office of Councillor
in the municipality
municipality of Brantford,
in the municipality of Brantford,
do solemnly promise and declare
do solemnly promise and declare
that I will truly,
that I will truly,
faithfully, and impartially
faithfully, and impartially
exercise this office
exercise this office
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
I have not received
I have not received
and will not receive
and will not receive
any payment or reward
any payment or reward
or promise thereof
or promise thereof
for the exercise of this office
for the exercise of this office
in a biased,
corrupt,
or in any other improper manner.
or in any other improper manner.
I will disclose any pecuniary interest,
I will disclose any pecuniary interest,
direct or indirect,
direct or indirect,
in accordance
in accordance
with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
I will be faithful
I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II,
to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
And I make the solemn promise and declaration,
And I make this solemn promise and declaration,
conscientiously believing it to be true,
conscientiously believing it to be true,
and knowing that it is of the same force and effect
and knowing it is of the same force and effect
as if made under oath.
as if made under oath.
It is my distinct honor and privilege to now call the first roll for the Council of the Corporation of the City of Brantford for the 2018 to 2022 term. Councillor Vanderstelt.
Present.
Councillor Sless.
Present.
Councillor Martin.
Here.
Councillor Antosky. Here. Councillor Wall.
Present.
Councillor Carpenter.
Here.
Councillor McCreary.
Here.
Councillor Utley.
Here.
Councillor Weaver.
Present.
Mayor Davis.
Present.
So I'd ask the members of council to turn to the last page of your program and join me in the reading of the Athenian Pledge. We, the members of the Municipal Council of the City of Brantford, do solemnly declare that we will never bring disgrace to our city by any act of dishonesty or cowardice, nor ever desert our comrades. We will fight for the ideals and sacred things of the city, both alone and with many. We will revere and obey the city laws and do our best to incite respect and reverence in others. And we will strive unceasingly to quicken the public sense of civic duty, and thus, in all these ways, transmit our city greater, better, and more beautiful than was transmitted to us. Guess we have a little bit of work to do on that coordination. Good evening and welcome to the inaugural meeting of the 2018-22 Brantford City Council. It's great to be back. Before I begin my inaugural, I would like to recognize some dignitaries who are here this evening. Of course, Honorary Lord Mayor Walter Gretzky. And also my three friends, the former mayors, former Mayor Dave Newman, former Mayor Karen George, and former Mayor Mike Hancock. Thank you for being here tonight. So it's a great privilege to be here tonight as we celebrate our city, share our accomplishments, and plan for the future. I'll get used to this. I'm tremendously honored to stand before you as your mayor. I'm sure I speak on behalf of every member of council when I say we are humbled and proud to be given the opportunity to serve our city and its residents. It's not an easy job, but we do it because we love this city and we want it to be the best it can be. On behalf of myself and all the councillors, I would like to thank our family members and our friends for their continuous support. You know, our families make real sacrifices so that we can take part in public service. So please join me in recognizing our friends and family for their love and patience with us. So on that note, I hope you'll bear with me. I'd like to say a little bit about my family. I'd like to acknowledge my brother Michael, who is here tonight with his wife Catherine. They're tireless volunteers in the town of Kleinburg. It's a credit to our parents and grandparents, showing a deeply ingrained sense of public duty. My sister Linda Bogdan, her husband Rick Kennedy, are here from Edmonton. It was a very pleasant surprise when they showed up on my doorstep last night, totally unexpectedly. As well, Suzanne, Alex, and Jillian Robinson. They are the sister and children of my lifelong friend and fellow lawyer, Peter Robinson, who passed away last spring. Having them here tonight makes me feel that my friend is with me tonight. So thank you. And I can't say enough about my wife, Lisa, who has given me her unconditional support and love. Lisa, I thank you for keeping me on track and grounded. Thank you. And lastly, Lisa and I are very proud of our daughters, Brittany and Melanie, who are here tonight, and their families, and I want to thank them for all that they have done, and of course, especially the grandchildren, because I have to actually speak over my grandson as we move through this. With special thanks to Mr. Justice Edwards. Mr. Justice Edwards was probably about the first person I met when I came to Brantford in June of 1981. He was articling at Watch Us Hold and Name a Hitch at that time, and since then we've had a great friendship. And you know, it's truly an honor to have a direct descendant of Chief Joseph Brant deliver our oath of office. More importantly, it's also important because I think it symbolizes, you know, a very unique bond that we share with our Indigenous neighbors that I'll speak of in more detail shortly. I also want to acknowledge our debt to the 3 former members of council who have spent decades in service to the city, Mayor Chris Friel and councillors David Newman and Larry Kings. Their contributions are endless, and many of the good things that have happened here in Brantford are due to their efforts. Also, I'd like to welcome 2 councillors who are with us tonight after winning their seats in the October election, Councillor Jan Vanderstel, Ward 1, and Councillor Joshua Wall, Ward 5. You know, it's great to see people stepping forward to take on leadership roles, and congratulations to them. And of course, to the veterans, the returning members of council, I look forward to working with you to continue building on the work you've done to improve our city. You know, all of us spent many long hours knocking on doors, talking to voters, and learning what's important to them. You know, I was moved by the stories people told me about their lives and their hopes for this city. I shared their frustration as they talked about the ways our city could be better. More than anything else, they confirmed my belief that Brantford is an amazing city. The people are strong, we're resilient, we're innovative. It's a good place to raise a family and grow a business. We've had a really remarkable past and an even brighter future. So now that future is in our hands. So we must approach our task with intelligence, passion, and most of all, humility. Because we're not doing our work, we're doing the people's work. You know, this is a major transition, time of transition for our city. We're at a crossroads. We face some hurdles that must be overcome if Brantford is going to continue to progress and grow. And foremost is the development of the boundary lands annexed from the county last year. You know, those lands are our future. It's where the new houses will be built and new jobs created. Of course, there are other priorities too. Residents voiced concerns about infrastructure problems, high taxes, the opioid crisis, homelessness, and more. I'm convinced that we, working together, can address those issues and make real progress. And as we do that, though, we have to remember that while the demand for government services is virtually limitless, the supply of money is not. Each dollar we take in taxes is one less dollar that our residents and businesses have to spend on their own needs, their own dreams, their own goals. So that puts the responsibility squarely on our shoulders to spend their hard-earned money wisely and carefully. That means our city government has to be effective, efficient, and streamlined as it can possibly be. So before we spend even $1 on any project or program, we should ask ourselves, will it make our economy stronger? Will it maintain and build our infrastructure? Will it make our city safer? Will it make our citizens healthier? We have to be laser focused in our commitment to give taxpayers value for their money. And that starts with setting our priorities and the work we do in this chamber. You know, and since this election, I've met, of course, with each councillor to hear what each hope to accomplish during this term. I really want to thank you for taking the time to share your thoughts and ideas with me. It was important to me to do that, and I very much appreciate it. I also met with senior staff who have provided me with comprehensive briefings about the issues we face and the recommendations to address them. I can already see how dedicated, professional, and capable they are, and I really look forward to working with all of you as we move forward together. You know, this election was more than about just choosing a mayor and choosing a council. Elections provide the opportunity for a fresh look at our community, its needs and its goals. Elections give us the chance to recalibrate, to review existing priorities and set new ones. And most importantly, elections give us the opportunity to hear directly from our voters to learn what matters most to them. Therefore, I'm proposing that Council hold a priority-setting session as early as possible in the new year. We need to draw a roadmap that we and city staff can follow that reflects the voices of our community and how we perceive them. First Nations, we have a long and special relationship with First Nations in our area. The people of the Six Nations of the Grand River and the Mississaugas of New Credit First Nation, they're our friends, they're our neighbors. They're the reason this city exists, and they have been instrumental in helping to build it. I'm sure all of us at this council table look forward to forging a closer relationship with First Nations so that we can work together on projects and programs that mutually benefit all communities. I'm also looking forward to strengthening the ties with our other close neighbor, the County of Brant. We already do a lot together. The paramedic services, social services, John Noble Home, they're all good examples of how productive that relationship has been and can be. And not that long ago, we negotiated an agreement regarding the boundary lands. And so with that agreement now in place, we can look for new ways to cooperate on shared services and industrial growth. Both communities have an interest in the development of the industrial lands near the Brantford Airport in Cairnsville. And we hope we can talk together with the county about how we can solve the traffic issues, particularly those for the residents of West Brant. One of the most important roles we have is to create a climate for economic growth, so we attract new businesses and keep existing ones. Fortunately, we have a very low unemployment rate, though we have a severe shortage of skilled labor in some fields. One of the lessons we know all too well in Brantford is that you can never take a strong economy for granted. Our economy needs to be nurtured to make sure it remains fertile ground for businesses to grow. I look forward to working with our economic development team as an ambassador to sell the city far and wide. Because we know Brantford's a great place to set up shop. The rest of the world just needs to know it too. And when entrepreneurs come knocking, we need to get out of their way so they can carry out their plans. At City Hall, we need to streamline our process and services so business, developers, and builders can get the approvals and permits they need in a timely manner. I'm pleased to see that a committee has been set up to do just that. The Building and Construction Process Review Task Force, now that's a mouthful. I think most call it the Red Tape Committee. It's getting down to business. I look forward to serving on that task force to help bring it to a successful conclusion. So during the campaign, we heard a lot from voters about traffic issues, about sewer problems, poor roads, fractured sidewalks, and more. You know, those are the basic skeleton of the city. It holds the city together. So we need a strong foundation if the city is going to continue to grow and prosper. We need to get it right. We must maintain the infrastructure we have, and we have to make sure our infrastructure grows as the population grows, so we're not occasionally playing catch-up. Work has already started to upgrade the MP Street pumping station, and we will shortly get to work on the 5th Avenue station. You know, once fixed, these bottlenecks, and they truly are bottlenecks to new development, they'll be removed in other neighborhoods, and some neighborhoods will be able to fully develop. And of course, we must make progress on addressing our traffic woes. In the coming months, Council will receive reports outlining options for the Oak Park Road extension, the Veterans Memorial Parkway widening, and other potential routes such as County Road 18. You know, these proposals, they'll not be cheap, nor will they be easy to implement. But the decisions on these issues are long overdue, and it's time we get on with it. And as we improve the existing infrastructure, we also need to do some serious planning to meet the future infrastructure needs. And that's because, of course, 2 years ago, Brantford and Brant County, we agreed to the transfer of more than 2,700 hectares of land into the city. And those boundary lands represent the future of our community. Here we can develop new types of housing that will appeal to retiring baby boomers and first-time homebuyers. New factories and businesses will employ thousands of people. But we have a dilemma, and the dilemma is we face the need to invest a lot of money up front to develop the roads, the sewers, and other city services required for the boundary lands. However, the tax revenue from those new homes and businesses won't start to flow for several years. But it's critical because in the meantime, we risk running out of land for the existing city for new housing and development. So the sooner the boundary lands are developed, the better. We need to move swiftly to plan for these areas while being diligent to ensuring it is done right. Municipal services and amenities need to be in place as people and businesses move in, not 10 to 20 years later. Our new official plan will help guide us through that process, as will the new master plans for transportation, water, and sewers. To manage this correctly, all of us at this table and all the city departments will have to work together. You know, we need a comprehensive timeline for the development of those lands. We need a champion to oversee those efforts. And when council meets for its priority setting session in the new year, I'm going to propose the creation of a task force to oversee the work on the boundary lands. The task force will provide the leadership across all city departments to keep us focused, on track, and ultimately successful. But as we address the future of these new lands, we also have to face an issue that's been on council's agenda for generations: the state of our downtown. We've seen tremendous changes in the core in recent years, and I want to commend previous councils for the actions they took. The presence of Laurier Brantford, and more recently Conestoga College, has been a real game changer. And I look forward to working with these institutions and the Six Nations Polytechnic to explore ways we can further support and benefit from their success. And Harmony Square has become the heart of our city and a great venue for cultural events that bring the community together. And we're starting to see new private sector developments take off. The new condominium project on 1 Wellington Street that will bring more people to our core to support its businesses and services. We need more of this development in the future. There's a lot of underused land south of ICOM Drive that is ripe for redevelopment. We should consider expanding the downtown to include that area, commonly known as the lower downtown, so that business can take advantage of some of the development policies that are already in place for the existing downtown. While these are all very positive developments, there is a growing unease amongst many residents about our core. Some of it's perception, some of it's reality. Either way, those concerns need to be addressed. I'll be talking a little bit more about some of the factors driving those concerns: drug use, homelessness, mental health issues. I'll do that in a moment. But you know, even as we address those root causes, we also have to tackle the perception issues. A consistent police presence helps. We should think about providing the police with additional tools, such as a bylaw, to deter nuisance behavior. But clearly, these are not permanent solutions. Many of those who struggle are genuinely in need, and Brantford Police Services is working closely with several community agencies to intervene and get them the help they need. I'm sure I speak on behalf of us, all of us, when we say we want that effort to succeed. You know, Brantford's always had a reputation as a great place to raise a family, and that's still true. But every city has vulnerable populations who are disadvantaged, challenged, and in need of support. Brantford's no exception, and residents are becoming concerned. We've seen an alarming increase in drug-related issues, more visits to the emergency room, more drug use and discarded needles on the streets and in our parks, and most disturbing of all, more overdoses and deaths. And as the housing market tightens, homelessness is becoming more common. And mental health issues are taxing our hospital, our social services, our police, and community organizations. These are complicated issues, and in many ways, they're very much interconnected. To resolve them, we will need the active involvement of this council, all levels of government, private, public agencies, the medical community, and of course, the police and others. The Brant Community Drug Strategy is a blueprint to addressing those drug issues. We have to make sure that we are putting effort and resources into implementing it. Some of that's already happening. The new Rapid Access Addiction Medicine Clinic on Colburn Street is a great example of how several community organizations have come together to provide really innovative and effective ways to address those who need it most. We desperately need a residential detox center where those suffering from alcoholism or drug addiction can get clean and then move on to a treatment program that will help them recover. You know, the new Ontario government has promised significant investments in mental health and addiction issues. We need to work with our MPP, Will Boma, to ensure that we get our share and get it as soon as possible. We also need to work closely with senior levels of government to address homelessness. In Brantford, we've seen some very innovative approaches to developing more affordable and assisted housing, such as the recent John Noble Home Apartments development. Traditionally, it is the senior levels of government that provide the financing to finance social housing programs. They need to hear from us. And then cannabis. With the legalization of cannabis, the federal and provincial governments have shifted much of the legislative implementation and enforcement responsibility to municipalities. The first decision we have to make is whether we allow cannabis retailers to operate in our city. And one of the primary purposes of the legalization is to eliminate the black market and replace it with a tightly regulated legal market. So if you want to get rid of the black market, you're going to need a robust legal market in Brantford. But that's not the end of the story. The province has given us an option to opt in or opt out of allowing retail cannabis sales in our city. And before we exercise that option, we need and deserve clear guidance from the province on what the rules will be for this industry. And we need to develop a strategy so the industry is managed in a way that respects our community's needs and wants. So I've touched on some of the key issues facing our new council. I could go on if you want, but I think you probably have listened to me long enough. However, there are a few other notable initiatives I'd like to mention. The renovations to the historic federal building are starting, so it'll become the new City Hall in 2020. Putting all city staff under one roof will provide a way to streamline the administration and allow staff that are currently in separate buildings to work together more efficiently and effectively. The new customer call center, a 24/7 call center, will go a long ways to helping our citizens get timely responses to their questions and concerns. And work is progressing on projects to improve our parks and recreation facilities, such as the West Brant playing fields, the Tatula Park splash pads, and the Dufferin Park redesign. It's important to have good places to play and relax. Another challenge coming up is 7 collective agreements for city staff are up for renewal this year, which will require a great deal of effort by management and labor to bring to a successful conclusion. So as to-do lists go, I think it's a pretty long and ambitious one. It won't be easy. It will take a lot of effort and teamwork to make progress. But to be fair, I don't think residents expect council and city staff to perform miracles overnight, but I think they do expect progress, and soon. And they're looking at us, the 11 members of City Council, to be the leaders, to work together to build a better future for our beloved city. It's the job we signed up to do, so let's get to work. So, Councillor Carpenter, I understand you have the traditional resolution to formally receive the mayor's address.
I do, Mr. Mayor. It's my distinct privilege, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor McCurry, that the inaugural address of the Worship Mayor Kevin Davis be received, and that congratulations of this council be expressed to Mayor Davis for a thoughtful and careful prepared address, and that the mayor's inaugural address be forwarded to all departments or department heads of the city administration, the mayor and council of the County of Brant, the Chief of the Council of Six Nations of the Grand River, Chief Council of the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nations, the Brantford Brant Member of Parliament, the Brantford Brant Member of Brantford Parliament, to all city boards and advisory committees, and posted on the city's website. And I'd just like to speak to it, Mr. Mayor, if I may. This election was about change. You received a resounding mandate as our new mayor, and as a member of council that served many years, and I watched you when you were a councillor long, and I didn't have the privilege to serve with you, but I watched your action then, and I'm very proud to serve with you today. And your address clearly has addressed many of the things that we've heard that we know we must work on, and I'd be happy to work with you going forward in the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Carpenter. I appreciate your words of support. So is there any discussion on the resolution? If not, I'll call the vote. So have you all voted? Have you? Please all vote. I can't see. Yeah. Is it Brian? It's 10. Okay. There we go.
So the motion to, the resolution to receive the mayor's inaugural address carried unanimously on a recorded vote.
I now ask Councillor Weaver to move the Councillor-elect Caucus Report 2018-1122.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This resolution is moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Rutley. 2.1 Council-elect Caucus Report number 2018-11-22. That the Council-elect Caucus Report 2018-1122 be adopted as follows. Number 1, amendments to various schedules for Chapter 26, Boards, Advisory Committees, Duties, Functions of the City of Brantford Municipal Code. Item 2, appointments of members of council to various committees, boards, advisory committees, and task force for the 2018-2022 term of council. Item 3, appointments to Grand River Conservation Authority. Item 4, Cannabis Task Force disband, request to Brant County Board of Health. Item 5, Graduate Brantford Task Force amendments to composition.
Members of council, are there any items within the report that you wish separated for discussion purposes? If not, I'll call the vote. We're still waiting for one more. That's all we need to know. Someone has to push them more. Push them very hard. Someone still hasn't pushed it. Yeah. Well, it's all the same vote, right? There we go. Very good, unanimous.
The Council-elect Caucus Report 2018-1122 carried unanimously on a recorded vote.
We'll now move into bylaws, first and second reading. I'd ask Councillor Utley to move the first and second reading of the bylaws.
Thank you, Mayor Davis. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Weaver. That leave be given to the mover and seconder to introduce the following bylaw for the first and second reading. Bylaw Preamble 152-2018, being a bylaw to appoint members of council to various committees, boards, and task forces for the 2018-2022 term of council. 153-2018, being a bylaw to amend various schedules of Chapter 26, boards and advisory committees, duties, functions of the City of Brantford Municipal Code, Council-elect Caucus Report 2018-1122. 154-2018, being a bylaw to appoint a member of council to act from time to time in the place and stead of the head of council. And lastly, 155-2018, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the City of Brantford with respect to the inaugural meeting held on December the 3rd, 2018. Thank you.
Does council wish to separate any of the bylaws for first and second reading for discussion purposes? If not, I'll call the vote. Good. I came out without a hitch.
The first and second reading of all bylaws carried unanimously on a recorded vote.
I'll now ask Councillor McCreary to move the third reading for the bylaw listing.
Mayor, I'm very pleased to move the first third reading of this inaugural session of council. Councillor Carpenter has graciously agreed to second this resolution. This is the bylaw third reading, that bylaws 152-2018 through to and including 155-2018 be taken as read a third time, be finally passed and signed by the mayor and clerk.
The third reading of all bylaws carried unanimously on a recorded vote.
Now that the official business has been concluded, the inaugural meeting of this city council is adjourned. So when do I give up the thing?
I brought them usually the people in their cabinet outside